We'll just open it up. Board meeting for today is now in session for the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk.
This morning's closed session, closed session 1 is pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation in the matter of the arbitration of a dispute between Calaveras County Public Safety Employees Association and Calaveras County, case number CSMCS number 15-0329. Closed session number 2 is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, one case pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we'll, public comments. Seeing no public comments, we'll adjourn the closed session. Oh, there we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Board of Supervisors meeting for Calaveras County. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Garamendi, would you read this, please? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to report on our closed session that we held at 8 o'clock this morning. Item number 1, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 sub D sub 1, conference with legal counsel existing litigation in the matter of arbitration of a dispute between Calaveras County Public Employees, California County Public Employees, Safety Employees Association, and County of Calaveras. Case number C.S.M.C.S. number 15-0329. County Council and Board action. There was no legal action taken. Item number 2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation. One case pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 sub D sub 2. Board action, no legal action taken. At this time, is there any board announcements to be made? Any supervisor? I have a board announcement. There is a communication I received from one of our constituents regarding the condition of our government center, and during the appropriate time I'm going to let Assistant CAO Brian Moss address that and what's in progress and those particular measures being taken. I'd like to go to proclamations and recognition now. Our administrative office, Madam Clerk.
Item 3 is from the Administrative Office to proclaim March 30th, 2017 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, today has been marked as Vietnam's Veterans Day. I'm going to read the proclamation and we'll make the presentation. Proclamation recognizing March 30th, 2017 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. Whereas, on March 30th, 1973, almost 10 years of battle, the last of the U.S. troops were airlifted from the imploding nation of South Vietnam, thereby completing the total withdrawal of combat troops. And Whereas, of the 3.4 million who served in Vietnam, 58,220 never returned home, and 304,000 were wounded. And whereas 1,700 are still listed as missing in action or killed in action. And whereas countless others have carried the invisible wounds of war, the atrocities they witnessed, the friends they lost, and the chemicals and shrapnel they will forever carry in their bodies. And whereas in 2007, both the United States Senate and the United States Congress passed resolutions proclaiming March 30th as National Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. And whereas on March 28th, 2010, then California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed AB 717, establishing an annual Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day on March 30th. And whereas on March 29th, 2016, the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors proclaimed March 30th, 2016 as Welcome Home Vietnam's Veterans Day in California. In Calaveras County. That has a special meaning to a lot of folks, especially in this room. And to those folks, I say, personally, welcome home. I would entertain a motion from the board.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved by Supervisor Tofinelli, second by Supervisor Mills. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment? We do have a public comment.
Can we have the Vietnam veterans rise so we can...
We'll do that in a moment.
As someone who's the same age as our veterans, I'd like to express my appreciation and my guilt for being a girl when my boys didn't come home. It's something that I've always felt deeply about. So thanks to the boys that did come home, and especially those that didn't. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? I'll bring it back to the board for any comment. We have a motion and seconded. Call for the vote indicate by saying aye.
I was going to comment real quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. For those who've never been to the wall in Washington, it doesn't hit you until you're there.
Okay. Any further comment by the board? I'll call for a vote. Indicate by saying aye if you're in agreement with the motion.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0, unanimous. I would like to have every Vietnam veteran stand up, please, and join me in front of the podiums here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time to celebrate. Because a lot of times we didn't get that. I'm very proud of you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to let you take that, sir. And you can show it to everybody and remember that we care about you guys. I'd like to recognize Charity for all the fine work she does for our vets. Madam Clerk?
Item 4 is from First Five Calaveras to proclaim April 2017 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Calaveras County.
Good morning, I'm Robin Davis, and I'm a program coordinator with First Five Calaveras. But I'm here today on behalf of the Prevent Child Abuse Council of Calaveras and our partners for April, our CASA of Calaveras, Health and Human Services Agency, the Resource Connection, and we also want to thank law enforcement, preschools, all the schools, and just many people that are working throughout the county to support children, protect children, and build relationships with families to strengthen families. So we know that most child abuse and neglect happens in the home. And when children are suffering, parents are suffering. Oftentimes they're dealing with a lot of stress, dealing with isolation, and in many cases of child abuse, they are struggling with addiction. But our focus is to look at families' strengths. And when we focus on what their strengths are and we make sure that people know how to access resources in the community, then that's how we prevent child abuse. There is a vibrant learning community in our county of parent education and of parent cafes. There are several that are going to happen this month. And this is when you bring together the collective wisdom of parents and grandparents and foster parents, caregivers, educators, all in one room, then good things start to happen. We see that then families can start to build their resiliency. They can learn how to access the supports that are in the county. They learn about child development, being their child's expert. And probably the most important thing is developing really positive, healthy relationships that maybe were not there before. So we encourage everyone that's caring for children to come out and join this learning community. There's now a calendar with all of these events in one place on the website of Health and Human Services Agency. You can also look at the website for First Five and Prevent Child Abuse Council. We have a Facebook page, so there's lots of ways to get information. And so finally, on April 12th, it will be a Wear Blue Day in Calaveras County. And that evening, we'll have a Light of Hope ceremony. I'm going to have some flyers for you, and we're encouraging people to wear a blue ribbon pin. I'll have those for you. And this is a time really for us to come together as a community to recognize that that families just might need a little bit of help before a crisis occurs. We will have Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, blue ribbon pins, bracelets, resources, refreshments. So it's going to be a good time. It will be, and we're encouraging people to wear blue. Come out bring your child, bring your parent, and join us. So that'll be Wednesday, April 12th at 5:15 at the Government Center gazebo right here in San Andreas. And this morning, before a proclamation, we have two speakers. Farrah Roberts will be talking about, she's been working very hard over the last year to bring a CASA program to Calaveras, which supports children in foster care. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker who will share about his lived experience, and this is Levi Rawlings. Thank you.
We're going to add another person on this. Levi Rawlings, my little sister Pearl Rawlings. Just wanted to bring her up here because it wasn't just me who went through it. It was this little one who stuck by my side the entire time. But I was asked to speak on my experience and how the community has helped support me and my family being strengthened throughout the experience, just like going through adoption and child abuse and whatnot. But a big thing that happened in my life and that helped strengthen my family was just the people that surrounded us. I grew up in Crescent City, and I was adopted 10 years ago. I was actually adopted in this courthouse with my mom, who works for First Five. But A huge part of the community that helps support families is not only just your friends and family, obviously, but it's neighbors, it's teachers, it's social workers. I was very blessed because I got a social worker who wasn't there for the work. She was there for the one-on-one experience with the kids, which in my mind as a little kid wasn't a huge thing because I really didn't understand the concept. But as I grew up and learned more about the experience, I was like, wow, that social worker, she wasn't just there just to get paid. She was there to actually make a difference in kids' lives. My third grade teacher in Crescent City, her name was Miss Murphy. Teachers, they have a huge responsibility because they have to see every kid, but not all of them get that one-on-one experience. And I was a different case because just growing up through foster care, not getting the one-on-one from an actual family member until I obviously was adopted. But teachers are a huge, huge part in that process. Social workers, like I said, and foster care wasn't. If I wasn't growing up to be a firefighter or raised to be a firefighter, I think I'd go into social working, just because of my experience and how I'd like to contribute back. But those people who do go into it, it's very tough work, and I really appreciate what they do. But foster care, there's ups and downs. Happy to have a roof over your head, but it wasn't always the best experience. But sometimes there's so many kids who are going through that. It's not like everyone's going to get a perfect home. It's just a matter of where they end up and the support that they get where they do end up. Like, I grew up close to Oregon, and I come down to this tiny little community, Calaveras County, and to see the transition of big city and then come to a small community, the support was just huge. And once we did get adopted, sports was a huge thing. Coaches were always there for you, and that part of the community was always there to help. Not me, but my family in supporting the process. Probably the biggest thing that helped me was firefighting. My dad was involved with the Copperopolis Fire Protection District, and that was like a second family that I got adopted into. I just like to recognize that first responders, they have a lot to go through and whatnot, but the fact that big family is always there to support you no matter what was a huge difference in my life. It not only helped me succeed at where I'm going today, but it gave me the path of where I'm going today. I don't know if that makes much sense. It makes sense to me, but like I said, community is a huge thing. Small world, Calaveras County Charity Manis, which she was here, grew up with her boys as well in the fire department. I just wanted to comment. They asked me to come in today and just say how community is such a big thing in preventing this and help supporting families who are going through it. That's all I have for you, unless this little one has anything to add. You're good? All right. Thank you for listening, guys. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Imagine you are a child who's experienced abuse or neglect. Imagine that you have been removed from the only family that you knew because you were being hurt. And now you're placed in foster care, and the people that you just met are now your new parents. Imagine that none of this makes any sense and you feel completely scared. But now imagine that you have a friend, a grown-up. This grown-up spends time with you and listens to you. And this friend helps you in many ways you could not imagine and helps you figure out the situation you're in. This friend is a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate. A court-appointed special advocate is a special kind of mentor, an idea that was contrived by a judge in the 1970s who felt he didn't have all the information he needed about the children he was serving. He had to make these grueling decisions about these children, and he didn't know if all that he had was true. A CASA was to be there for the child, at the same time gathering information from all aspects of the child's life and then report this information back to the court. It was with this information that the judge hoped he could make a decision that was best for the child. In this past year, many of our dedicated community members, the Prevent Child Abuse Council, and the Calaveras County Superior Court have been working to bring this concept to Calaveras County. Calaveras County is one of the last remaining counties that does not have a court-appointed special advocates program, and we hope by September to be accepting new cases. It's a nationally recognized program, and it has proven results in shortening the length of time that a child remains in custody of the court, and also in finding the services that helps the child recover from the abuse that he has seen. This is just one more step in ensuring that child abuse ends and that each child has the opportunity to have a safe and nurturing childhood. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Terry Lane with First 5 Calaveras, but I stand before you right now as a former foster parent and as a adoptive parent of a child through that system. And this wasn't planned, so I don't know what I'm going to say, except that what words were shared today really touched my heart as I have lived that. I studied for 8 years, I studied child development, and I considered myself an expert in the field. I worked in preschools and in different venues with young children for over 30 years. And again, I felt that I understood what was happening with children. And then I became a foster parent, and I was blown away. I was blown away by the stories that were brought to me about the children that go through things that we cannot even imagine. The pain, the fear, the hurt, how scared they are to go from home to home to home. I received my daughter when she was 5. I was her 6th mother, and I was determined that she would have no other. And she was full of fear and anxiety and anger. And like I said, I thought I knew, but I didn't. And it took the social workers, it took the lawyers, it took the good people in the community to help support her and to support her now as she's 13 years old. It was not an easy road. But I'm here to say thank you to all the social workers, to those that are working to prevent child abuse, and to give children in this county loving homes and loving support. And I thank you for any support that you can give these families as well. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Catherine Eustace with the Calaveras County Office of Education. I just wanted to add to Farrah's great presentation that the CASA program is being developed with the full support and backing and weight of all the resources of the Calaveras Youth Mentoring Program. We're really proud and happy to have that program coming to this community, and we'll be doing everything we can to ensure its success.
And I've given you all blue ribbon pins and the flyers for the events and flyers for a couple of the trainings. Many of the trainings are happening in April.
Thank you. I have the honor of proclaiming decorating April 2017 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Calaveras County. Whereas children are the future of Calaveras County and deserve our most committed support and protection, and whereas child abuse occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and lack of knowledge and skills to effectively cope with, and whereas child abuse includes general and severe neglect and physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, and whereas child abuse and neglect increases the likelihood of long-term physical and mental health problems, alcohol and substance abuse, continued family violence, and criminal behavior. And whereas research shows that parents and caregivers who seek help in times of trouble and more resilient and better able to provide safety and nurturing for their children. And whereas, as a community, each of us is tasked with making children a top priority and taking appropriate action to stop the cycle of abuse that destroys the lives of those affected.
This time, is there any further public comment?
This is really exciting to hear that we have the potential to bring a CASA program here. A number of years ago, the Volunteer Center, we approached a couple of our judges to see what was possible, and we worked with Steve Walensky and to some degree, and he's encouraged us to do this, and so, but it wasn't able to happen at the time. So bring it on. The Volunteer Center, the CASA program is all about volunteers through the structure of the court, of course. And so the Volunteer Center would love to be able to help promote that and make whatever we can do. Use us. Thank you.
Any further public comment? I'll bring it back to the board. Any board comment? I would entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Supervisor Tofinelli, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Supervisor Clapp. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed indicate by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Calaveras County, this 28th day of March 2017, do hereby declare April 2017 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Calaveras County.
I think we have. I just wanted to touch you said something. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Item 5 is from Public Health Services to proclaim the week of April 3rd, 2017 through April 9th, 2017 as Public Health Week, recognizing the fundamental role that state and local health departments, schools, community-based organizations, and healthcare providers play in carrying out essential public health services in Calaveras County.
Good morning. I'd like to make just a few brief comments. I'm Dr. Dean Kaleda, and I'm the local health officer for Calaveras County. I'm in private practice. I'm a family practitioner, but I also serve as your doctor and the doctor for the community. And so what makes public health different than regular medicine is that our patient is the population and the community of Calaveras County. And the discipline of public health concerns itself with the health of the community, health education, promotion of health, and creating an environment where people can live and be healthy. In Calaveras County, it's a beautiful place. We have clean air, we have clean water for the most part, but we have serious problems. In many ways, Calaveras County is sick. We have high rates of cigarette smoking, substance abuse, motor vehicle fatalities, and suicides. We have an elderly population with higher rates of chronic disease. So elderly people are shown to have at least more than 2 chronic diseases in many cases. We have a healthcare system that's not sufficiently robust. In fact, we're defined by the state and federal government as a health profession shortage area, meaning that we don't have enough doctors to the number of people here to adequately take care of their primary care needs. We have high rates of mental illness, depression, and rural isolation in our community. Now, at the forefront of this battle is your public health department. Every day we provide health education, vaccinations, prevention programs to help some of the most vulnerable people in our community, maternal child health, infants, chronic disease self-management workshops we provide, where people who have chronic diseases can come and learn how to better manage their conditions like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, arthritis, chronic pain management. We monitor and control the spread of communicable diseases that can be transmitted from one person to another. We help support the medical functions of our local emergency preparedness programs. In the event of a disaster like the Butte Fire, we support the medical health response of emergencies. And we work with and coordinate with the medical community, the local doctors, local nurse practitioners, the local hospital, to ensure that the medical health system is functioning as well as possible. So people say that you sometimes have to go to a doctor, sometimes if you're sick, but we all rely on the public health system all of the time to ensure that we're healthy as a community. So I just wanted to acknowledge, or hopefully you will acknowledge with the proclamation that we've given, that the first week of April is Public Health Week, and I wanted to point out some of the public health staff who's here as well. We have public health nurses, we have health education professionals, we have staff that support us. I'm a physician, so the public health department is here to help with consultation, technical assistance. So please take advantage of us, and we will be providing information as time goes on. So can they stand up, the public health staff? Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Doctor. Supervisor Tofinelli?
I have the proclamation to read. It's a proclamation declaring the week of April 3rd, 2017 through April 9th, 2017 as Public Health Week, recognizing the fundamental role that the state and local health departments, schools, community-based organizations, and healthcare providers play in carrying out essential public services in Calaveras County. Whereas the Calaveras Health and Human Services Agency, the Public Health Services Division, works to protect the health of Calaveras residents, and whereas the provision of public health services improves the health and well-being of Calaveras residents, and whereas PHS, in partnership with other departments, works to prevent epidemics and the spread of disease, protect against environmental hazards, prevent injuries and promotes healthy behaviors, ensures food and water safety, responds to disasters and assists in communities' recovery, and ensure the quality and accessibility of healthcare services. And whereas Public Health Week also recognizes the schools, community-based organizations, and healthcare providers that work together to plan and carry out essential public health services. Therefore, be it resolved, the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors proclaims April 3rd, 2017 through April 9th, 2017 as Public Health Week in Calaveras County. And be it further resolved, the Board of Supervisors recognizes the fundamental role that state, local health departments, schools, community-based organizations, healthcare associates, and healthcare providers play in carrying out essential public health services for Calaveras residents. So, you want public comment?
Public comment. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Edson, welcome.
Hi. Cliff Edson, resident of San Andreas. During the Butte Fire, Health and Human Services and the rest of the county, we're out in full force. But I remember visiting the evacuation sites, especially at Glory Bound and Hogan Lake, in this side of the county anyhow, as well as the Burson Church and the Veterans Hall. And the nurses from the Health and Human Services were a godsend. Those folks cared about people, and I spent a few nights until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning just sitting around and talking with them, and making sure that they were all right, but they were telling me that I should probably go home and make sure I was all right. These folks are very professional, very good at what they do. They did a fabulous job during the Butte Fire, and I'm sure obviously they do a good job anyhow, but I just wanted to recognize them for the fantastic job they did during our Butte Fire.
Marty Crane. I've worked with public health and health and human services on many projects over the years, and I just don't think people realize the scope of what's possible and what happens under the radar. We have no idea. So applause, applause, applause. Please keep supporting it and know that if we don't have public health, we don't have anything. Thank you.
Seeing no further public comment on this item, I'll bring it back to the board. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Mills. Second by Supervisor Garamendi. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
So passed and adopted by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Calaveras, State of California, this 28th day of March 2017. Can I get all the healthcare workers up here, please? Congratulations, everybody. Thank you for all the service and work that you do for Calaveras County. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Item 6 is from Behavioral Health Services Substance Abuse Program to proclaim April 2017 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Calaveras County.
Supervisor Garamendi. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, ladies, gentlemen. Let's see. My name is Rob Fulgham. I'm with Behavioral Health, and I'm responsible for substance abuse and DUI programs here in the county. When we think about alcohol use, binge drinking may come to mind. This is generally attributed to college students, but according to the Calaveras County 2014 Needs Assessment, binge drinking is most prevalent among persons 65 age and older, which is something we don't talk about. Also, within the needs assessment, we learned that almost half of Calaveras County 11th graders reported using alcohol in the last 30 days compared to the state average of 33%. 12% of 7th graders and 30% of 9th graders reported using alcohol as well. While myself and my colleagues have witnessed a dramatic decrease in methamphetamine use locally, our children have increased their use of alcohol, marijuana, and prescription medications more than ever before. While the kids may not be using meth, a combination of alcohol and opiates is much more life-threatening. We have active prevention services within our local middle and high schools, as well as Friday Night Live. With April just around the corner, we'll be joining our partners all over the nation as you proclaim Alcohol Awareness Month in Calaveras County. We are asking parents and other adults to abstain from drinking alcoholic beverages for a 72-hour period beginning March 31st and ending April 2nd to demonstrate that alcohol isn't necessary to have a good time. Our research shows that kids that talk to their parents about the dangers of alcohol are 50% less likely to experiment than kids that don't. If anyone finds it difficult not using alcohol during this time, we ask that you reach out and call us at 754-6555 for more information on alcoholism. My staff will be available for the entire month of April for no-cost alcoholism screenings, and as always, we have a counselor available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. While most people possess the ability to self-regulate alcohol or even substance use, the ones who can't are also unable to see the trouble that it's causing in their lives. My staff has decades of experience and specialized training. So we just want to make sure that the community is aware that we're available, and we're in the portables on the other side of the property, and we just want to be of assistance. And we have a presentation. Sorry.
Hello again. I'm Catherine Eustace with the Calaveras County Office of Education, and we're going to talk about a couple of the programs that we're doing to prevent alcohol abuse in our community. Have you got that? Okay. So, as Rob mentioned, two of the programs that behavioral health supports with prevention funding are called Friday Night Live, or FNL programs. They're called Friday Night Live because when they were created in 1984, their guiding purpose was to keep kids from drinking, driving, and dying on weekend nights, hence the name Friday Night Live. Today, FNL supports youth development programs, or programs designed to empower young people and nurture their growth into active and responsible citizens, while also providing opportunities for friendship, creativity, and fun. Calaveras County has two FNL programs. One's called FNL Mentoring, and the other's called FNL Leadership. Both are coordinated by the County Office of Education with support from the California Friday Night Live Partnership. I'm going to talk to you today about Friday Night Live Mentoring, and then Lauren Robinson's going to come up and talk about our new FNL Leadership program. I should mention here that the coordinator of FNL Mentoring is Lindsay Titus in the County Office of Education, but she is on a well-deserved vacation this week, so I am standing in for her for this presentation. And thank you very much to Mark for doing our PowerPoint. So FNL Mentoring is a youth development and prevention program that matches middle schoolers with high schoolers, and the high schoolers act as mentors. We call the middle schoolers in that program proteges rather than mentees, as we do in the Calaveras Youth Mentoring Program. Every week during the school year, well, most weeks during the school year, the group meets together and they have structured and supervised and fun activities after school. Kids are invited and recruited to join as both mentors and proteges in that program, and they focus on topics that are of importance to teens, like bullying and peer pressure and drug use. Every week they meet, and they also have one-on-one time, and there are other really fun components of the program that we've invited one of our mentors to come and share with you.
Hello, I'm Emily Smith. I'm a junior at Calaveras High School. I've been a mentor for 2 years now. I just finished up my second year, not just a couple weeks ago, actually. The two awesome events that we hold through FNL Mentoring. One is called the HOLA Awards, and it stands for honoring our local leaders and administration. That is a wonderful event. I've always absolutely loved it. You get to invite someone who has inspired you or built you to be the person that you are today, and just honor them in front of your peers and in front of fellow adults, and show your appreciation. Our second one is Shadow Day, where middle schoolers get the rare experience of being able to actually come with their mentor and kind of just walk with them, go through their classes, see what high school's really like. They can get these stereotypes of what high school is, but this opportunity gives them the opportunity. This opportunity gives them a way to see into high schoolers' lives and see what it actually is all about and the dedication that it takes, but the fun-loving experience of being able to go into lunch and hang out with friends. And it also gives them a kind of insight on, okay, well, this is where these classes are, this is this teacher. That looks like a fun club, I want to join that. It's a wonderful opportunity for them. Thank you.
So I was going to share with you some of the impacts that FNL Mentoring has had. We've had FNL mentoring now in our county for about 10 years. Originally, when we got it, it came with funding, and when that funding was no longer available, Behavioral Health Substance Abuse Prevention has been a supporter, and then the Calaveras Mentoring Foundation also supports FNL mentoring. So I wanted to share, because this is just this last year, but these are typical results. We have a retrospective survey that the students take at the end of every program year, which asks them questions about how much they knew on a particular skill before they started FNL mentoring and how much they've learned during the course of the year. So that's the next slide. So for our mentors, our high school students, all of these slides will just give you this idea of the dramatic impact that the program has. So before they came to FNL mentoring, they had 30% of an idea, 30% of them had an idea of the problems related to alcohol in our community, and when they finished FNL mentoring, it was 82% of them knew. So this is the kind of dramatic difference that we have in things like what are our community norms, how to influence your peers to make positive decisions, that's a really dramatic increase, and how to make your school a more positive place for everyone. So then for the proteges, we have the same sort of dramatic increase in skill, not quite as high as the mentors, but that's because the mentors are actually leading the FNL mentoring program. So they create the sessions and they teach them to their proteges. So in other topics, we have on alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana stuff, how much easier it is to say no after the program. One happy thing is that at least our proteges were already saying no pretty much to marijuana. As Rob mentioned, the substance use in our county is really high among young people, and we have a number of different programs that we run to try to address that and try to mitigate it, and FNL mentoring is one of our key ones. Other skills that students get in these programs for the mentors, the ability to be a leader, handle conflict. I'm really proud of the difference that we make in students' ability to handle conflict, stand up for themselves, stand up for others, and feel like they're making a difference in their school and community. Then for proteges, it's the same sort of impact. But for proteges, I put in the planning and organizing my own time, because if you've ever spent much time with a middle schooler, that's a really key skill that you want them to develop. They really need to learn how to organize their time better. So I wanted to also pass along, Calaveras mentoring has been here for 10 years, and that's quite a while, but we have another new program that we started this year called Friday Night Live Leadership, and I'm going to ask Lauren to come and chat about that.
Hello, Board of Supervisors. You might recognize me. I was here with advocating for keeping our routes with the transit for our after-school programs and supporting the Friday Night Live mentoring program. But wow, this is. I guess I don't have to. You can hear me all right? Okay. So Friday Night Live Leadership, we had the opportunity to kind of extend Friday Night Live, and we put the leadership at the end because kids want to be involved with leadership. And kids in high school and in middle school really want to feel that connection, not only to their community, but they want to feel that connection to the adults in their community too. And I feel that there is a lack of teen voice in this community. And so it's been our mission to work with teens to feel empowered to get their voice out and advocate for the teen voice in the community. And so that's kind of what Friday Night Live Leadership is all about. And we're working with Bret Hart High School students and Calaveras High School. Go ahead. At Calaveras High School, right now I'm currently working with about 12 to 16 students during study hall, and they are all about wanting to create a more positive school climate on their campus. And one of the things that they're working on right now is an awareness gallery, which is the day in the life of a high school student. And this gallery has been done in other high schools around California with other Friday Night Live programs. And it starts the conversation with parents and kind of lets the community into what high school is really like for teens. And so teens talk about issues that are important to them that adults may not know about, like how stressful it is to be a student, or their view on drugs and alcohol from a teen perspective, distracted driving. And so the teens are choosing issues that are important for them to relay to not only parents, but other peers. So peers can walk through this gallery and actually know how to get help. And so this is what the high school students at Calaveras High School are working on right now, and we hope to present this gallery at the end of May, and we will let the community know about that when that's going to happen. Okay. And at Bret Harte High School, the students are working on a distracted driving campaign, and they are partnering with organizations like Allstate, the Safety Center, and the California Highway Patrol to educate their peers and the community about how dangerous distracted driving is. We have deaths in this community every year related to distracted driving, impaired driving, and there's kids' lives lost every year. And so the students at Bret Harte High School really felt it was important to keep this message going in their school. And we're actually having a lunch outreach with CHP at Bret Harte High School today. So that should be it. We're doing a fun activity where the kids will be going around on tricycles and trying to text and drive. And so they'll get candy if they participate. So we're just trying to get the movement going. Okay. And then there's been various opportunities for youth to meet other youth around California and connect and bounce ideas off of one another, see what other youth are doing in their communities, and also getting the perspective of different walks of life. You know, there's kids from all over inner city that have different experiences than our kids from Calaveras County. And during these... Oh, I'm sorry. So a few of the conferences that we've taken to youth this year are the Youth Summit in Anaheim, California, the youth training, leadership training that we partnered with Amador County to give our kids to help them build skills. And then the most current conference that we went on actually this past weekend was the REACH conference. And in a second, I'm going to have Emily share a little bit about her experience. But the REACH conference, they bring in the people who do the challenge day and the walking the line activity, and we do ropes courses. And this really challenges teens to test their mental capacity, and also it gives them an opportunity to share and to grow and to learn and to trust other peers from different communities. So Emily, would you like to share a little bit about your experience from REACH? Okay.
Hello again. When I was at REACH, it was, I went into it not knowing everything about what the conference was going to be all about. And the first day, we got introduced to it, and this is actually my favorite part. We got introduced to it as a challenge day. And what I heard beforehand was, okay, today is all about crying. You're just going to cry all day. And I was like, okay, well, you know, that's going to be interesting. At the end of the day, I felt uplifted and like I had connected with these people that if I just saw them on the side of the road, I would have never connected with. And you get to share your experiences, and you get this safe place where you can talk with others and relate to their struggles and hear these stories that will stay with me my whole life, of these people that have overcome challenges and are overcoming currently things that I could never imagine having to overcome. Also adults, I got to listen to these adults' experiences and what hurts them. And it was this beautiful, safe area where you got to connect with each other. One thing that I hope to take back to Calaveras County after this experience is I learned a lot about tobacco use, healthy relationships, and I had gone to trainings about these before, but these trainings that I attended at the conference were completely different, and they focused on a lot of different topics, such as e-cigarettes. I hadn't heard about that very much, and a lot more on healthy relationships and how to show appreciation to people that you love and appreciate. So I hope to bring to all of the clubs that I am in, and also to my peers, just a little insight on what I have learned from this conference, and hopefully that is more that my education can help my peers along the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Go to the next slide. This is the last slide. And so from this, it's been in I think a lot of our minds in this county to actually have a youth council where the teen voice is represented. And so we have actually started that process of selecting teens from the different high schools and creating a youth voice that can work with adult organizations and combine their thoughts and ideas of how to support youth in our county. And we're actually meeting on Friday to go over officer roles, and these teens are developing the framework, and it was decided that the teens want a person from each of the high schools, Calaveras River Academy, Mountain Oaks. They want the voice from all different schools to have different perspectives on this teen body, to really get that teen voice out there and heard. And so you will hear more from us, and I just ask that the Board of Supervisors helps support this effort and getting that teen voice out there and helping youth to feel empowered in this county to be a part of the community, to work together with adults to really just make these youth feel like they can do anything. So, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Garamendi.
Thank you. We could probably, should we turn the lights back on?
Thank you. I thought I was going blind.
I thought I was going blind too. Thank you very much for those presentations. I get the privilege of reading this proclamation designating April 17th, 2017 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Calaveras County. Whereas excessive drinking is responsible for more than 4,300 deaths nationwide among underage youth each year. Whereas alcohol is the most commonly used addictive substance in the United States. Whereas nearly 10 million young people nationwide ages 10 to 20 report that they've consumed alcohol in the last 30 days. Whereas young people who begin drinking before age 15 are 4 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence than those who begin drinking at age 21. Whereas drinking by persons under the age of 21 is illegal, yet people aged 12 to 20 drink 11% of all alcohol consumed in the United States. Whereas the typical American will see 100,000 beer commercials before he or she turns 18. Whereas kids who drink are more likely to be victims of violent crime, to be involved in alcohol-related traffic crashes, and to have serious school-related problems. Whereas a supportive family environment is associated with lowered rates of alcohol use for adolescents. And whereas kids who have conversations with their parents and learn a lot about the dangers of alcohol and drug use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who don't have such conversations. Mr. Chair.
Any public comment on the agenda item? Any further comment?
Good morning. Kathy Howell, Program Coordinator for the Victim Services Department of the District Attorney's Office. I wanted to stand in front of you today to advocate and support the Health and Human Services and the Substance Abuse in recognizing April as Alcohol Awareness Month. We as advocates in our office work with victims of all crime on a daily basis, all day, every day. Many of these victims have they've become victims to the hands of someone under the influence of alcohol and or drugs. A common statement that we hear in working with our victims daily is he or she was a great person until they started drinking. Then I don't know who they are. It's like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Alcohol and drug use tends to be a learned behavior, and then it becomes a lifestyle. We strongly believe and support that through the youth prevention programs and bringing awareness to our schools regarding the dangers of alcohol and drug use, that it's imperative in the changing of the mindsets of our growing community. Our youth is our future, and education is power. What better support could we provide our victims of Calaveras County than supporting our local recovery programs and advocating for education? On behalf of the District Attorney's Office and Victim Services, I wanted to thank the departments that make up the Health and Human Services, as well as our Calaveras County Office of Education, for their ongoing efforts and offer our ongoing support. Thank you.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Garamendi. Second by Supervisor Mills. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors that the month of April 2017 is Alcohol Awareness Month, and hereby calls upon all citizens, parents, governmental agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, hospitals, schools, and colleges in Calaveras County to support efforts that will provide early education about alcoholism and addiction and increase support for individuals and families coping with alcoholism. Through these efforts together, we can provide hope, help, and healing for those in our community who are facing challenges with alcohol use and abuse. Thank you. Now, the people involved could please come forward. Thank you guys very, very much for all the work you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. Before we go into public comments, we're going to be taking a 15-minute break for our clerk and for everybody else that needs a break. So we'll be back at 10:15. Okay. Welcome back. Madam Clerk.
Public comment. Any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the next order of business. If public comment is not completed during the allotted time period, it will be continued as the last item of business in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of comments to be heard.
Thank you. Public comment?
Good morning again. Marty Crane. This morning we recognized our Welcome Home Vietnam veterans, and in our guests was Glenn Wasson. And he had to leave. He wasn't able to stay any longer, but he really wanted to present these books to our Board of Supervisors. And he says, now I don't know if they can take a gift or not, but if not, perhaps they could give them to a veteran. There are many stories in here, Vietnam stories, but I just wanted to share you this one thing. This book was edited and produced by our very own Manzanita Writers Press. And I'll just read this one thing about Glenn. Glenn Wasson is a retired Air Force colonel who flew more than 300 combat missions in North Korea and Vietnam. He later served as editor of the Air University Review, the professional journal of the Air Force, and also edited Defense Electronics, a commercial publication produced in Palo Alto, California. He now resides in the motherlode town of San Andreas, where he mines for historical nuggets that lend themselves to humorous articles. He continues researching and writing vignettes, V-I-G, how do you say that? Vignettes, thank you. vignettes of colorful happenings in the Gold Country. Glenn is best known in the local area for his melodramatic portrayals of Black Bart, California's most notorious stagecoach robber. So these books can also be found in the Manzanita Writers Press shop in Angels Camp and around town. So with that, I'd just like to present these on behalf of Glenn to you.
Good morning, members of the board. Mr. Chair, first of all, I wanted to say that I appreciate the use of the new microphones as one who is going hard of hearing slowly here. I also wanted to mention to you about or talk to you briefly about the fire prevention fund fee. And I know some people are opposed to it, and it's in court, and who knows if Howard Jarvis's group is going to have this money returned. I doubt it, because we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, and I don't think that the state's going to give the residents of California back hundreds of millions of dollars. But there's a report that was out in May of 2016 that talks about the expenditures. The law in 2011 did say that they had to report, CAL FIRE had to report on the expenditures and the income from this fire prevention fee. And so they're doing it. However, the law also says that they only have to do this through 2017. Now, I don't know what the story is about stopping the reporting on 2017. I'm always one who wants to know where the money's going, because I want to be able to possibly save a buck. But I wanted to bring to your attention how much money is there, and the fact that I think you may be able to influence the use of that money in Calaveras County, I would hope. And according to this, and I called believe it or not, there is a service center for fire prevention fee in Suisun City. And I called them and asked if there was a more recent report, because this is May 2016. And the lady said, no, this is it. And at the time that I printed this, there was about $150 million expended and about a little over $300 million that came in. Now, one of the things I also want to point out is that in 2011, the first year that it was collected, CAL FIRE budgeted $50 million. $50 million for startup costs. I'm not sure what that includes. The other thing is that CAL FIRE and Board of Equalization take about roughly $8 million a year in administrative costs. So my urging to you is that you see if you can get CAL FIRE to budget some of that remaining $150 million
Thank you, sir.
into Calaveras County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, apparently we have a malfunction on our visible clock up here, so Madam Clerk will be our advisor in this time limit. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm here to speak regarding Gwynn Mine Road, and I would like to start by saying thanks to Jeff Krovitz, who took quite a bit of time to give me a detailed update on what's going on there. I understand he's captured some federal money that is subject to your people's opinion. I want to give you a couple reasons in addition to why Gwynn Mine Road is important. One is the Middle Bar Bridge at the bottom of the road, which everybody needs as a recreational area. There are 2 fishing bridges in the state of California. One, and the most important one, is the Middle Bar Bridge. A lot of people without money to do other things fish there. Now, in the turn of the the 19th to the 20th century, a Yahoo cowboy took his entire herd down that road and collapsed Middlebar Bridge amongst much carnage and consternation, particularly from the mine people that needed to use that road. And on occasion, the Pony Express went down that road. And I apologize to Jack Garamendi for calling his great-grandfather a Yahoo cowboy. But the family redeemed itself later when in the Clinton administration, and Jack's father was the Undersecretary of the Interior, the bridge was shut down and the county didn't have enough money to repair it. It was red tagged, I guess is the closest thing to it, condemned. All of a sudden, after Undersecretary Garamendi got his hands on the situation, money appeared and the bridge was completely rebuilt in its historical appearance, but with major seismic underpinning and great ballyhoo. And I will tell you more stories of Gwynn Mine Road as the reasonable period of reconstruction goes on. I want to thank the county for any cooperation they can give to the project of commissioning Gwynn Mine Road, and please accept the federal money.
Thank you, sir.
I think I got the timing right now. Sorry about the interruption earlier, gentlemen. Benjamin Stopper, District 5. No, all budgetary information was obtained from the Auditor Control website, the Audit Comprehensive Annual Financial Report 2015-2016 budget. I also enclosed a single page in there that we pulled from the 2016 budget. In the budget 2015-2016, the county budgeted a $4 million deficit. The county actually had a $4.4 million surplus. This is a difference or variance of $8.4 million. Again, $4.4 million in surplus. We have established the sheriff's office would need approximately $2.9 million added to their current budget just to be at the level of services they were at a decade ago without upholding a ban. $4.4 million surplus minus $2.9 million for sheriff services leaves $1.5 million surplus. $1.5 million a year we can put towards a ban. What does a ban cost? What is the recurring expense year to year to uphold and implement a ban? No one has answered this in depth or with any solid statistics. So let us speak conservatively as to the cost. Let's say conservatively that a cost of $20,000 would cover the eradication and abatement of a single grow. Let's say the sheriff's department is able to eradicate and abate a grow every day, 365 days a year. That would be saying that 365 grows would cost $7.3 million to eradicate and abate. $7.3 million recurring cost year to year. 7.3 million eradication cost minus the 1.5 surplus is $5.8 million needed recurring year to year to fulfill a ban. So this poses the question, how do we fill this gap of $5.8 million? Are you prepared to cut services to our community to fill this gap? Here are some services that you may have to cut to fill this gap. County libraries, $350,000. Adult tutoring, $20,000. Services and supplies for Board of Supervisors, $40,000. Community organizations districts, $290,000. Museum, $32,000. Public access TV, $16,686. Sorry about that, Al. Totaling $740,000. Subtracted from $5.8 million leaves us with a gap of over $5 million you still have to cover. What do we do? Cut more services? Are you even prepared to cut the services mentioned above? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ben. Vivian Seichu, District 1. To pick up from where Ben left off, the big question to the Board of Supervisors is, how exactly do you intend to fill this $5.8 million gap, recurring year after year, in order to fund a ban? In having reviewed the county financial information, which is publicly available at a fairly detailed level on the county website, we can conclude the following. Department budgets tend to be budgeted on paper at a deficit. When the actuals are taken into account, the county then tends to show a surplus at the end of the year. Please see the 2015-2016 $4.4 million surplus example quoted by Ben earlier, which can be found in the Auditor Controller's Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, publicly available on the County Auditor's website. Accounting transparency considerations aside, the first allocation of these surpluses should always go to the Sheriff's Office, which is the only department where the budget deficit is actually real, as opposed to being on paper only, as mentioned above for other departments, and as Ben has already stressed, even before a ban enforcement is taken into account. This, ladies and gentlemen, poses a serious safety concern for our community, cannabis or no cannabis. And in taking cannabis into account, let's remember that a cannabis ordinance deployment, whether it be regulations or a ban, is always first and foremost a matter of law enforcement effort. Therefore, once these surpluses are netted off in order to bring the Sheriff's Office to a decent level of pre-cannabis ordinance operational funding, what is left would not even be nearly sufficient to fund a minimally impactful ban enforcement effort. Therefore, what could you do? What are the only possible solutions left that you, the Board of Supervisors, would have? Do you want to cut services, as outlined by Ben earlier? Do you want to increase taxes and fees on every citizen in the county to cover funding for a ban? The truth, gentlemen, is that the facts in the county's own numbers speak for themselves. If you force a ban upon our county, what will happen is nothing will happen. It is enough to benchmark other jurisdictions who have already implemented bans in recent years. The results are always the same. Thousands of illegal growers flock in. Law enforcement does not have the sufficient capabilities to effectively deal with the issues, and the safety and environmental burden of such an anti-historical and irresponsible political decision is left on our community's shoulders. Is this what we really want for the future of Calaveras? The county's own numbers don't lie, nor do the facts. So what are you going to do? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good morning. Bonnie Newman from Double Springs. I'm just sharing with you a little snippet of the IHSS program. I've come to you and talked to you about the committee and the program. This is talking about the people that use the services. I call this our service report. We get this monthly from CHHS and the Public Authority. And I'd like to just briefly read down each side of this column and explain what the numbers mean. Every month, we're allocating 45,000 hours, but we're only using 39,000 hours. You can see to date we have $267,000. This covers, at this point, 347 consumers of support services. They average 112 hours each. Some have a maximum of 283 hours. Some have way less. But I think if you were to multiply 112 by 347, you'd come up with this 39,000. I think that's where that number comes from. Right now, we have 324 providers providing services to 347 clients. On our registry, the Public Authorities Registry, there are 60 people available to do emergency fill-in. When the Public Authority conducts their orientation, they have, in the last month, trained 15 people, have made 9 referrals out and have made 8 matches. To move to the other side, you can see that there are more eligible cases apparently in our county, 387, whereas the paid cases are 347. That leaves about 40 people that are probably floating out there not fully having a client yet, having a provider yet, or maybe within this program not absorbed yet. This is the next column is very interesting. It's talking about the ages of the people in this program. Usually you think IHSS is for elderly people. You notice there's only 24 teens, 214 adults, and the elderly are only 170. And finally, the last one is the number of consumers in each of these areas. I'll let you read those numbers yourself, but you can see that they're very evenly distributed out within the county. Thank you very much.
Any other further speakers? Mr. Segala?
Good morning. Al Segala, Taxpayer Association. I want to thank we have a project to try to provide a completely unbiased presentation of on the cannabis issue, and I didn't realize how difficult something so simple could be. And so where we are today, we do have arguments from each side, and we also have rebuttals from each side. The rebuttals from one side was delayed several days, and the other side would like to have several days to revise their rebuttal because of new information that's developed and to be more fair. So where we are now is to find an agreement between both sides where they could both revise their rebuttals so that we'll have a package together. And I don't think that's going to be accomplished by tonight, where we're going to have a public discussion or forum on the issue, but we will be able to have something together that both sides would agree with that on our website, and then try to promote it to the voters as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edson?
Good morning, Cliff Edson, San Andreas. About a month ago, I got up here and talked about asking that the folks that say they have a plan to bring it forward publicly, and I haven't seen that yet. A plan for how to find the funds to enforce a ban. I haven't seen that yet. I keep hearing about it. Got a plan, but I haven't seen it or heard about it. And it makes me think that little things are going on behind closed doors. And I don't think that's in the best interest of the public. The public deserves an answer. It's what you ran on. It's what you promised the folks, that you have a plan. What's your plan for businesses? Bring in businesses. Haven't heard that plan yet. What's your plan to enact this ban? How to pay for it? Haven't heard that yet. So I'll just keep asking until maybe you can come up with something. Or maybe it'll just be like one of those surprise things that comes up. But I know what the budget is. I've been through the budget myself for a few years, and I got to tell you, it's not there. So how are you going to do it? What I'm seeing right now out in the public is many businesses are starting to lay off people, and they are downsizing, basically, closing extra days. Why? I think it's because of uncertainty. Right now, things are uncertain, and I think it's very, very damaging to the county, and I think you need to bring out whatever certainty is. So I appreciate it, and I'm sure that a lot of folks would like to hear it, of your grandiose plans to to take care of this situation. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
One more thing. Here it is. The password for the network, Calaveras Guest, is guest123. People were asking me.
Any further speakers? Mr. Fry?
Good morning, Chairman and Board of Supervisor members. I just have a public service announcement. This afternoon between 1:30 and 6:30, blood service source will be in Valley Springs taking blood donations at the gym in Valley Springs. So I ask that if you can come and donate blood. Anybody that has O blood or O negative blood, they're really looking for that. There's a shortage of blood in their inventory. So I'm 70 years young. 70 is the new 50. And I've been donating blood since I was 18. I'm O negative myself. So please come down and donate. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Any further public speakers? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion.
Is there any items by the public that needs to be pulled? No items from the public? Any items from the board? Do you need to pull an item, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I failed to give my name when I spoke earlier, Gary Caldwell, Valley Springs. And I'm asking the chair if you would pull item 14 off for discussion, please.
Item 14?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You can do that. Any further public items to be pulled from the consent agenda? Once again, back to the board. Any items from the board? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion. So moved by Supervisor Mills to to vote on the consent agenda minus item 14. Any second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Supervisor Clapp. Any public comment? We'll bring it back to the board. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by saying no. Motion passes 5-0 unanimous. Sir, item 14, we can hear that now, if you will.
So this item is from Public Works to authorize the board chair to execute a professional services agreement for construction services between the County of Calaveras and Royce Construction and Design Incorporated for the Rock Creek Solid Waste Facility Gatehouse Replacement Project for an amount not to exceed $196,775 and a term ending December 31st, 2017, and approve a transfer of $131,775 from the Integrated Waste Management Operating Fund with a 4/5 Board of Supervisors approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, Gary Caldwell, Valley Springs. I think the board is well aware that I'm opposed to continuing with a gate person out there at the landfill because it costs too much money. And I discussed this with the Public Works Director several months ago, and he did not necessarily agree with me. I see the elimination of that position out there as saving the public about well, maybe you don't know, that person, according to the roster of the controllers that I saw, that person is paid $47,000 and $22,000 in benefits. So you're looking at roughly $70,000 for that person at the gatehouse, that position at the gatehouse. And eliminating that position, and I realize that it does take in, at the gatehouse, there is some cash money taken in. There's no question that there's some fees that people have to pay in addition to the $150 annual fee, and that does generate revenue for the Integrated Waste Management Fund. That could be offset, the loss of that revenue could be offset by about, if you eliminate the position, about a $5 increase, about 3% increase in the annual fee for those residents of us that pay the fee. The other thing that about this is that obviously I don't want to see a new building out there, and particularly spending $200,000. I thought $200,000 for an 8x20 box. And so I immediately thought of, why not a modular building? Or why not a prefab building, something like that? Just move it in, put it on a foundation, connect up the utilities, and you're off and running. So I went to the internet, and I saw 92 listings of modular buildings that may be utilized in that position, from my point of view. Now, the details of all the bars on the windows and things like that, they don't come that way. They had a cabin as one of the modular units, was 14 by 20, the cabin, $14,000. This is assembled, not necessarily installed, but assembled. There was a 8 by 20 shell that was assembled on site for $9,000. You could buy a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath completed kit for $37,000. So then I went to trailers, and you can look at watertight, brand new, fully carpeted with blinds and bathrooms, kitchen, the whole schmear, for under $40,000, and you would have 50% more floor space. To spend $200,000 on a budget, out of a budget that's already budgeted to be in a deficit position of $1.9 million this year is crazy.
30 seconds.
And so I'm urging you not to put any more money out there in the gatehouse. And when I was Public Works Director, when I wanted to spend more money than my budget showed, I always had to show savings somewhere to offset that cost. Manuel probably remembers this. You have to be able to save $200,000 in your budget in order to spend $200,000 that's not budgeted. And that's why I'm opposed to continuing with the gatehouse and the expenditures of monies that the department doesn't have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Crovus?
Jeff Krovitz, Public Works Director. The item before you is approval of a contract for the replacement of the Rock Creek Gatehouse. The Rock Creek Gatehouse was built approximately 26 years ago for $90,000. In the 26 years since it was built, it has developed several leaks because it was set so close to grade level. And having tested it, while we are getting reports of mold and problems, it's not habitable and it's not safe for our gatehouse operators. Another reason why we are motivated to do this replacement project. The replacement gatehouse is elevated about 8 inches above grade with steps to come in that will solve the water intrusion problems. It has also been designed to be deterrent to theft. We've had a number of thefts out there where people come into the facility after hours and break into the gatehouse thinking that they can steal cash that is collected from fees, tipping fees, that people are paying when they come into the facility. If one would inflate the $96,000 we spent 26 years ago to present day dollars, that would come in at about $200,000 in present value. This contract is for about $200,000 in present value. It has more functionality than the 26-year-old gatehouse did. It has a roof deck with an accessible stairway, so we no longer have to have an operator climb a mobile ladder to look down into the loads. They are required by law to inspect the loads and direct those loads to the various locations at our facility. So if it's a commercial load and it is waste bound for the landfill site, they are directed to the landfill site. If it is mixed waste with recyclables and solid waste, they're directed to the materials recycling facility. If it's white goods such as refrigerators, stoves, ovens, microwaves, they're directed to the white goods portion of the facilities. If they're household hazardous waste, chemicals, paints, thinners, things like that, they are directed to the to our hazardous waste facilities. And if it's green waste, they're directed down to the green waste facility. That is a necessary function for the integrated waste management system at that site. Eliminating a gatehouse and an operator at that site in an attempt to save $70-some thousand a year, to me, seems a fool's errand. Anyway, the item before you today is the approval of additional monies because the bids came in higher than anticipated, significantly higher than anticipated. However, we do have a capital improvement fund within the Integrated Waste Management Fund that is specifically for large dollar expenditures, long-term capital improvement items. That fund currently has $6.8 million in it, and that fund is utilized for such things as the new landfill cell, if we have to relocate the leachate pond, if we have to improve roads out there, if we have to build new buildings out there. So it appears to me that the capital improvement fund with its reserves is an appropriate use, $200,000 out of the $6.8 million, for this particular item. Any questions from the board?
Jeff, I do have some questions. First of all, page 41 of your packet, and my listing is upside down. I had a little difficulty reading it. No, in the way that it's listed on my computer screen.
Yeah.
But it's understandable. My question would be this. Do you feel that it would be necessary for this project to be amortized over 20 years? In other words, what I'm saying is, can we set a line item in your budget to say, here's the amortized cost, so we can start recovering those costs so the next 20 years down the pike, we're not dipping into funds like that we've already started to set aside money in advance?
Yes, it absolutely makes sense, not only to amortize it, but to get the loss of value, deduct the loss of value as well.
Right. And put that in your budget as a line item so that it can actually be seen as a cost accounting against that project.
Yeah, I'm not an expert at the way our line item budget works and our software works, but I will certainly talk to the deputy director about that. I think it's an excellent idea.
I just bring back the recommendation only.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments? Supervisor Tofinelli?
Yes. Jeff, is this building public access?
No, it is not.
It's not public access?
No.
Is it ADA compliant?
Yes, it is.
It is. Is it wood frame?
No, it is steel. Well, the way we did the bid is we gave the respondents two options. One option would be a prefab, pre-engineered building delivered on site, put into place and bolted down. That was one option. And the second option is to frame in place. And I'm not positive, if I recall, we do have the contractor here, if you want the answer. But I thought I had requested that it be steel stud framed as delivered. Was that right? Yeah, this is Mr. Royce from Royce Construction.
Good morning, gentlemen. Pleasure to be here to be able to address your concerns. And I'd first of all just like to say that I'm very sympathetic to your concerns. I totally understand the responsibility you have in managing the public's resources. And second thing I'd like to address, we did consider doing an off-site prefab building to avoid prevailing wages. And there was potential for that, but as small of a building as it was, it didn't financially make sense. Additionally, building in place suits details that are more durable for the long term. I think what you're looking at here is a building that's going to serve the county for a long time. We are proposing the structure to be, it's going to have steel portal frame. If you look at the details, the end walls, there's not a lot of wall area. There's openings, and so that it requires that to be structurally sound to withstand lateral movements. And I totally understand. You look at it and you go, it's 8 by 20 building. How does it cost that much? We are going to have a steel staircase going up to the surface, which will be a concrete paver roof deck. There's metal railings all the way around that. There's steel bars we have to fabricate for the theft issue. There's security. There's an ADA bathroom. We're planning on doing a full abatement. We're going to demo the building that's there. There was options to consider utilizing the foundation that's already in place. We inspected that. It's too low on the grade, and with the moisture issues, we want to raise it up. There's utilities that have to be tied in, and so all in all, I think we're giving you guys a good product. It's going to serve the county for a long time. It's going to last. It's not a trailer. It's not going to fall apart, and you're not going to have to be dealing with this again. So, thank you.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You say there's a concrete roof deck?
They're pavers. So
it's pavers.
A paver it's a 2-inch concrete tile. They're 2 foot by 2 foot square. They sit on pads. They can be removed if there's waterproofing issues. But we've done them. I've actually installed them on a lot of custom homes. And for a small area, the cost, it made sense for us to do that. It's going to hold up the best with the wind that you guys have out there. And just, I mean, you can do some other things as well, but that's what we thought would be the best. It is design build.
It is design build.
It's design build, so there's still some.
That's not metal studs. Is not going. You're going to have something other in that area than metal studs.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So is it a membrane roof?
Yes,
So
it's a membrane roof, and we cover the membrane with the tiles. They sit on rubber pads, and what that does, it protects better than it protects the membrane from UV, is what it does. So it lasts a long time.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's all I had.
Thank you.
I do have a couple more questions for Jeff. Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Apparently, this gatehouse is not going to be constructed on the same pad. You're not going to demo the existing building, raise the old pad up? No, it will be. So getting to that, what is the plan in the interim while you vacate this building and they demolish it and construct? And I don't know completely the time frame on it, but that's irrelevant. Obviously, you're going to need something there temporarily as a gatehouse for your...
Very good question. Obviously, you don't get out to Rock Creek that often. But last fall, when we discovered the potential mold issues, we removed a temporary gatehouse that was part of this contract and went out with a bid for a temporary gatehouse, which is a construction-type trailer with the stairs, and we relocated the utilities. So the operators have been in a temporary gatehouse since last fall, and we're hoping to get them out of that gatehouse as quickly as possible because it is more difficult to operate when they're above grade by 5 or 6 stairs. They're going up and down those stairs 100 times a day. So.
Well, thank you, and I have been out there.
Okay.
But I wanted to get it out so people understood what was going on.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I missed it. And I wasn't aware because I haven't had a chance to meet with the contractor other than a 30-second introduction when we were speaking with you.
He came up with great.
So I haven't seen what the contractor has in mind for the design build, but I certainly understand a structural steel moment frame for both gravity and lateral, And it makes a lot of sense because the roof deck loading is going to be fairly heavy, and the winds out there are also extremely high. And it's a very narrow building, so
I'm not sure about the moment, because that has to do with the earth moving and earthquake zone you're in. but
Lateral.
A steel frame of some sort.
Yeah.
I would like to see, when you get those plans, if they're electronically sent, if you could at least send a copy to me so I can look at it.
yeah, and before they can actually start, other than demolition and foundation preparation, it has to be approved by the building department. Okay.
Absolutely.
So as soon as we get agreement upon the design build, I will be sure to notify you, and you can take a look at these plans.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other questions from the board?
I do have a question, Mr. Crovis. What's our timeline for that landfill project? Are we looking 20, 30 years?
Are you talking about the replacement of the next cell?
Right.
Okay, with the franchise agreement with Cal Waste, we extended the life of the current cell by 3 to 4 years above what it had, which is about a 3-year capacity. And so that gives me about 6 years. My intent is that we will be constructing the next cell over the next 3 years. And the state requires that we provide a 30 to 35-year capacity on the next expansion of the landfill cell. Now, as time has gone on and we've gotten more and more efficient with the diversion programs that we have for recyclables, green waste, things like that, the total amount landfilled is going down over time, while the total amount being diverted goes up over time. So I don't anticipate that the next iteration or the next generation of the landfill cell itself will be nearly as large as the previous cell.
What's our life expectancy of this building we're proposing?
I expect it to last longer than the 20 or 26 years that the previous one did. I would expect that unless something changes, it would be good for as long as we want to use it. We have selected durable materials that are long-lasting. That's why you don't see wood frame and you see steel frame. The siding on the outside is hardy panel. Is that what we? So hardy panel being a cementitious siding. I chose that specifically because I've used it in a lot of public works projects before. It's very difficult for somebody to break into it with a chainsaw or a claw hammer. Okay?
Chainsaw, huh?
You can't get through the hardy panel with a chainsaw.
I'm familiar with that term. Thank you, Mr. Kropas.
Thank you.
Further questions from the board? Any further questions from the public? Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. I would entertain a motion on item 14. No motion?
I'll move the item.
Supervisor Topin, could you turn your mic on for us? I apologize for that.
I will move this item.
I'll second it.
Seconded, actually, a motion made by Supervisor Tofinelli, seconded by.
I'd like to withdraw my second. Now, we're going to, on this motion, will that be line item like we were talking about? On the, he was in line item for writing it off on his budget. Dennis was talking about that.
Council, is that included?
No, what he was talking about, he wanted an amortization, that can be done just by instruction with the department. It's not something-
Yeah, nothing affecting the motion.
Needed a 4/5 vote to withdraw funds.
Okay, I'll still second it.
Okay, seconded by Supervisor Clapp. No further comment by the public, no further comment by the board. I'd call for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed indicate by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Item 25 is from Human Resources. My apologies. Item 25 is from Human Resources to adopt a resolution appointing Bradley Banner to the position of Environmental Management Agency Administrator, APCO.
Good morning, Board Chairman. Judy Hawkins, Human Resources and Risk Director. I'm here today to gladly bring before you to adopt the resolution appointing Brad Banner to the position of Environmental Health Management Agency Administrator and APCO. On March 7th, the Board of Supervisors held a closed session and unanimously voted to appoint Brad Banner to the position of Environmental Management Agency Administrator, APCO. Brad comes to us with over 30 years of environmental health experience and with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Environmental Health from the University of Washington, and a registered environmental health safety specialist by California Department of Health Services. Brad has worked in various environmental health programs and has spent the past 11 years serving as the environmental health director for Butte County Health Department, Public Health Department. And I have here Mel Knight would like to say a few things regarding Brad, and Mel was one of our strong references.
Thank you, Judy. Mel Knight, Interim Environmental Management Agency Administrator. First, I want to express my appreciation to the board, the community, and everyone in the Calaveras County for the opportunity to learn a great deal about all the challenges and issues that you face in a rural community. I have over 45 years of experience in environmental health, mostly in urban and larger communities. So I'd come here with the Butte Fire without this awareness and appreciation. And again, I've really learned quite a bit, and it's been my pleasure to work with a very talented, dedicated group and to learn how resourceful you have to be, and you are. And so thank you with that. It's been my pleasure to be part of the recruitment process for the replacement for the highly talented Jason Bateser. We now have Brad Banner. I've known Brad for more than 2 decades, and Brad had been Director of Environmental Health in Placer County, later Butte County, has a broad experience also in some rural Washington jurisdictions. And I think what you're going to find, as we've talked about his experience, is that he's a very pragmatic, solution-oriented administrator. He has a lot of talent, a lot of communication skills. It'll be someone that I think will suit the community quite well, and you've made a very, very fine choice. And with that, Brad is here to say a few words. He's here with his wife, Jeanette.
Excellent. Mr. Banner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just would like to thank you for the opportunity to become a part of the Calaveras County community. And this is my better half, Jeanette, and I wanted you to meet her. And thank you. And I look forward to beginning the job on April 10th. So.
I want to just add 2 little comments here. By the way, Brad from Butte County has a great deal of experience with cannabis, as well as he's actually been involved in evaluation of compost toilets as well, Supervisor Garamendi.
Wow.
Thank you.
You two got something to talk about.
That's a topic for a lunch.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Mel Knight because he was instrumental in assisting the HR department in recruiting for this position.
Yeah, I want to thank Mel also for your service. You've been a great leader.
I would like to echo that as well. You stepped in at a very difficult time in the history of our county and helped guide through some of the very detailed nuances that, as you say, are very unique to rural communities. So thank you for your expertise and your willingness to step up and help us in this moment.
I will still be involved on a very part-time basis in the Butte Fire Recovery Insurance invoicing program. And so you may see me again at some point. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mel.
Okay, no further comments? Ms. Hawkins, are you have further comments?
Nope.
All right. Do we need action on this? Public comment. Oh, public comment. Public comment? Seeing no public comment? Council, is this an action item? Yeah. All right. I bring it back to the board. Any comments by the board?
Look forward to you joining the team.
Then I would need a motion. Entertain a motion.
So move.
Moved by Supervisor Mills.
No, clap.
Oh, Clapp, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Oh, you didn't have your mic on, Mr. Clapp.
I'll take it.
I'll second it then.
Okay. Actually moved by Supervisor Mills, second by Supervisor Clapp. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed indicate by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Madam Clerk?
Item 26 is from Human Resources to adopt a resolution adding a position to the position control list, administrative analyst for the administration department.
Good morning, Junie Hawkins, Human Resources and Risk Director. Currently, the County Administrative Office is only staffed with the Assistant CAO, the Principal Analyst, and the Administrative Assistant too. This is not sufficient staff to meet all of the demands of the County Administrative Office, and the Interim Administrative Officer has requested the addition of an Administrative Analyst to achieve more efficiency in meeting the crucial deadlines that is brought into that office. So we are asking you to adopt the resolution adding to the position control list the Administrative Analyst. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Any comments by the board? Staff?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, shortly after this was put on the agenda, I had an opportunity to meet with our auditor controller, and she noted that we failed to put in the full annual amount for the position, and I just would like to put it on the record. The annual position cost is approximately $75,000. The cost for the remainder of this year is just over $12,000, but we will be making a recommendation as part of the 17-18 budget that this position be fully funded for the year.
CAO Lopez, does that figure include benefits and salary compensation?
Thank you for asking. Yes, that does include, that's a fully loaded position cost of $75,000, includes salary and benefits.
Okay. Council, can we vote on this matter with that information now?
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Great.
have accurate information on paper, and you're just clarifying your role.
Comments by the board?
Yes, I have some thoughts on this. Since we are in need of a budget analyst during this critical period of establishing our new budget for next year, would the board consider, or should that be a discussion, to provide some means of a lateral transfer of some analysts from another department to backfill to allow that position, because it is a critical spot right now, so that he can get the work done, and then maybe they could go back to another department. That would be number one. Number two would be the board's responsibility to the elected department heads is different from our regular department heads in that they, in essence, report to the board for purposes of budget and positions. So should an analyst be spending time directly interfacing regarding the elected's positions differently than it would be for those that are appointed, would be another topic for maybe future discussion. But it's just, I see as an opportunity here that this analyst position is very critical to our success in the budget process for what we're doing right now and going into next year.
Yes, I agree.
Just thoughts.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Mills, I totally agree with you. However, I don't believe that we'll be able to bring in someone from a different department at this time and fully utilize their skills. We do have an extra help analyst in our office right now. As the board is well aware, on April 3rd, the new permanent county administrator, Mr. Lutz, will be here. He has asked me to help him make a transition. I think that's one of the things that he will be looking at me to help him with, is that is in the preparation of the 17-18 budget. I think it'd be a great idea if we could bring someone in on a lateral basis, Budgets are also being developed by the various departments, and pulling someone away from them might have a negative impact on their abilities as well.
That's true, and bringing them up to speed is an issue because we're so late in the cycle right now for this year. It probably should have been something we talked about in January, but we really didn't have it on our radar screen. But for an elected department to have their own budget analyst, I kind of understand that, but at the same time, should they be more of an administrative analyst because of the reporting process regarding the budget rather than a departmental analyst? So that we talk about all of the elected as they interface with us regarding their budget performance and their budget in years forward. So I just wanted to bring that out. Maybe that's a topic for future discussion, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay, further comments? I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Public comment, I'm sorry.
Thank you,
Public
Diane.
comments on this issue? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board, and I, once again, will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Mills,
Second.
second by Supervisor Clapp. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Item 27 is also from Human Resources to adopt a resolution authorizing a change to the position control list and update the job descriptions for Facilities Maintenance Engineer and Facilities Maintenance Worker 1, 2, and 3.
Judy Hawkins, Human Resources and Risk Director. Today I am asking, with the change or the Kitchell contract ending, we are adding 2 positions to the county, one being the Facilities Maintenance Engineer and then a Facilities Maintenance Worker to take on the work that was being done by Kitchell. So it will be brought into the county and then managed by the Facilities Department. And then also, the job descriptions for these positions had not been reviewed since 1986, and so we were trying to bring them up to current standards. Also, the maintenance worker was separate job descriptions. There was a 1, there was a 2, and a 3. And so we were combining and making it a series, a 1, 2, 3 series, so that the employees, it would be a large benefit for the employees because then they could just be promoted up within the series. They would not have to be reclassified. So this is a huge benefit for the employees in the system. The maintenance engineer position, we currently do not have any employees in that classification. And so, like I said, we were just trying to bring that job description up to date. It still had requirements regarding working on boilers. So it's definitely bringing it up to standards.
Any questions from the board? I have a comment or a question. The position, will that include all facilities of the county here at the government center or just certain locations?
These 2 positions are to work at the sheriff's facilities. And so these 2 positions will be going through the sheriff's full background, but they will be reporting to the facilities manager that we are currently, we have recruited for, but is currently going through the background.
And that facilities manager, would his responsibility be for the entire government center?
Yes.
Or just, it would be?
The entire government center, including the sheriff's facilities.
Thank you. Supervisor Giramendi.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the chairman's question. So if we need, these employees are not locked just into those facilities. If we
No.
have emergent needs, we can shift them around and they have flexibility.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I'd like to hear from Mr. Moss on some conditions that has been brought to our attention for our facilities, not necessarily the sheriff's facilities, but our government center. And that might explain to our folks why this is so important that we get these positions established and filled.
Good morning, Brian Moss, Administrative Office. And certainly, yes, indeed. I would have to say that our maintenance of our grounds and maintenance of infrastructure is in a great deal of need and want. As stated by Chair Oliveira this morning, he had received a comment from the public regarding just, I think it was just based on the grounds of a government center. So I'd just like to take this a minute just to say, number one, facilities so much of the time kind of takes a backseat or a background to other things as we deal with priorities in the county. After all, it's just facilities. But the reality is we're sitting in a room that is heated or during the summer cooled with lights, et cetera, because we have not only the people that constructed it, but the facilities that maintain it. And that's everything from replacing lights to cleaning the board chambers. We don't think of these as critical issues, but really, quite frankly, they are. We want to make sure that our roofs are in good shape so that they don't fall down on top of us. I'm just being a little over the top and exaggerating there, but one example is, and that leads into this, is I had an opportunity to go up with buildings and grounds and look at the roofs, and they all need to be resealed. This is something that's been let go for some time. So that's one thing that the public doesn't necessarily see that's very, very critical to the functioning of the offices. We've talked about doing remodels of this building, and that's still something we can talk about, but the reality is before we talk about knocking down walls or knocking out walls and replacing flooring and ceiling tiles and that kind of thing, even asbestos removal, we need to take care of what's up on the roof first. So it's not going to do us a lot of good if we don't take care of the larger picture aspect if it fails in the future. So with that being said, grounds, real quickly, the Sheriff's Office has been really great about coming down and working with their inmate crews to get to the lawns, to get to the vegetation around Government Center. Hopefully you'll see a difference today than what you saw last week as an example. It's been pretty wet out there this winter. Ultimately, maybe the board would want to consider at a future date a full-time grounds person for facilities. We don't have that person today. But in the meantime, the Sheriff's Office has stepped up and has been assisting us, and we really, really appreciate that. I already talked about the fact that the roofs need to be resealed in all three major buildings, and I won't go into any further detail than that, but it's a great need. And including down the line, even the air handling unit down the hall here that supplies the heat for this room needs to be replaced. It's got 2 to 3 years of life on it. I'm saying all that to say this, is that we have deferred on capital maintenance for a long time, and it's something that the board may wish to consider in the future, and actually here on out. What do we do to actually treat the issues that are at hand rather than putting Band-Aids on them? So I understand where the constituent is coming from, certainly understand that. That's on the surface level. Agree with that. That's why we've got the Sheriff's Office involved, but it goes deeper than that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moss. Supervisor Garamendi.
Mr. Moss, excuse me. Back in February, we had discussed coming up with an inventory of space. So we could start figuring out what our capital assets were and how we're spending as we begin planning. And I appreciate the time you spent walking me around this facility.
Sure.
How are we doing on coming up with our inventory?
Well, at this point, I don't have an update on that inventory. I can tell you as what we discussed for the example of the remodel of this building, which would include hopefully even office space for the supervisors. But the reality is, I think we need to take care of the big picture items first, and that includes, like I say, that includes your structural and your roofing, so that when you have those offices, it doesn't fall down around you. Not saying it will, but the reality is we need to up the maintenance on this first, and then I think we can do the needs assessment. And we have done a needs assessment as to the different departments. Ultimately, what we'd want to do with this building, as you're well aware, versus some of our departments that are off campus, and bringing them back onto campus. So that actually still is in the works.
Thank you. I would, maybe perhaps in the future, we could add this as a full agenda item. They can do this.
Be happy to do
When you're
that.
prepared.
Don't run away. Yeah, we need to probably really take a serious look at our facilities and what I call the bones of the facilities. When you talk about the air conditioning or air handler systems here in the county, I'm sure many of them are 25, 30 years old. That's back when refrigerators were running on 6 or 7 or 8 100-watt light bulbs, and today they're running on a 3-way light bulb. So the cost of that, coupled with the amount of maintenance that's required on these older systems and whether or not parts are even available, you're cobbling things together to make it work, is an expense to the county, not only in manpower but in material to keep things functioning that are long since past their time. But we can continue to put it off. I would suggest that we just get a good assessment on what these facilities are and what those challenges are, and then start to budget something for that and move forward.
Well, the good news is our buildings and grounds crews and our engineer have done a really good job of actually enumerating those and actually identifying those things over the last several years. I just had a chance to look at a list the other day that went back several years. They're really basically the same items that keep deferring from year after year after year. So that's the good news. We do have buildings off-site as well. We don't always think about that, but we have the museum, we have the archives, we have the libraries. All of these things take maintenance, And what I'd like to say, some of you have heard me say this, but I think it's always wise to invest pennies on the front end to save dollars on the back, because the reality is, at some point, the Band-Aids and the repairs become the dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Moss.
Thank you.
Further comments? Ms. Hawkins?
One thing that I would also like to bring up, that these positions, we were, with the job descriptions, it was brought to my attention today that I did not meet and confer with the union over the changes. And I do want to bring up that it has been a past practice, especially when the positions were empty, that we have not done that. And changing the maintenance worker, facilities maintenance worker to a 1, 2, 3 was definitely a plus for the employee. It was an improvement for them to be able, and for the manager to be able to move the employee up in the series without having to reclassify them.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Is there any further comment by the public?
Good morning, Bill Petrone from SEIU 10-1. And we do believe that the county has an obligation to notice the union on these changes. There are some substantial changes within the facilities maintenance engineer classification, job duties, and descriptions. Just because something was never done in the past doesn't mean that we continue to not do it. I let Ms. Hawkins know today that we were going to have an issue with this. I was told, well, it was past practice, and if it doesn't get approved today, we may have to look at contracting it out. We would have an issue with that also. So I am here to object to the process, not to the adding of positions or making the facility maintenance worker 1, 2, and 3 a series. We agree with that, but we have some concerns, and we just need further information on the changes, why they were made, and how it would impact the person who potentially gets that job, because we will be representing that person. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hawkins, do you have comments on that issue?
The engineer position that he said the significant changes were made to, that's the one, it has not been touched since 1986. It does not have anybody currently in there. And the changes that were made was due to the fact that the position is 31, the job description is 31 years old. And we had to change regarding, boilers and make it more relevant to the position. But it is in line with the duties of the job description's in line with that position in other counties that are SEIU positions.
So it's my understanding that those lines of communication are open between you and the bargaining unit when it comes to issues like that? Or is that something that's reserved for negotiations?
Let me clarify.
Please.
Job descriptions are not meet and confer.
Okay.
They're not meet and confer, they're meet and consult. Now, the fact that they have not meet and consulted in the past, that's because they just didn't. If the union wants to meet and consult in the future, they can do that.
All right.
It's that simple.
Okay. Understood by the board? Thank you, counsel.
And
Thank you, Ms.
and I have
Hawkins.
no problem with that.
Any further comment by the public? Board Director?
Good morning. Bertha
How are
Underhill from Evans Pass. You're adding a position, and I'm coming into this cold, and we're adding a position to our county forces. Are we sitting at a deficit? Do we have openings that, we've been carrying for a long time? Are we doing active recruiting? And, just what is the, you don't have to go into real detail, but what do we look like for employment here at the county?
Ms. Hawkins?
Well, these positions that we're adding is due to the loss of a contract, and there will be actually significant savings. These employees will cost less than what the contract costs. We do have openings throughout the county, and that we are actively recruiting for, that we are using social media, all different types of methods that we are recruiting for.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
Okay. I'm going to request that everybody use the microphone so our folks in TV land can hear.
Oh, yes, then I know that problem. Okay, what kind of numbers are we talking about? Total employment and vacancies?
I don't have the total vacancy numbers in front of me. We do have a significant amount of positions open throughout the county. Our sheriff's office, we have quite a few, if I had to throw a number out there, we do have a good 20-something positions open throughout the county.
Is that information obtainable through your office by the public?
Yes, and it is on our website. You can look at the open positions on our website.
Thank you. I just came in cold this morning, and I just wanted to ask a question. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Any further public comment? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board. Any comment by the board, by staff? Hearing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's all right. I didn't see your light on.
Oh, sorry. So you will be able to quantify the actual cost savings at a later point as we get into our new budget year?
The cost of, because I don't know the full cost of the Kitchell contract, I don't know what the full cost savings is.
Right, so we'll see that probably
You'll
sometime.
see that in the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't hear you. There you go.
Sorry, this came before us not too long ago. I think it was the last meeting. I think it's like 350,000, above 350,000 is the contract, yearly contract.
Yeah, I just wanted it out there that there is a significant savings here.
There is.
And just to be aware that we won't know the exact number until we get into that next budget cycle.
Right.
Okay.
Excellent. Further comments by the board? I'd entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Tofinelli.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Mills. Any further public comment? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Indicate your favor for the motion by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins.
Item
Madam
28 is from the Administrative Office to receive a report from Common Ground Senior Services on the services they supply.
Good morning,
how are you?
everyone. Doing well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to see our new supervisors. Welcome. My name is Elizabeth Thompson, and I'm the Executive Director of Common Ground Senior Services. We've been providing services since 2000. in Amador, and since 2004-05 in Calaveras County. We run the Meals and Wheels program and transportation and congregate meal programs, funded through the Older Americans Act, through the Area Agency on Aging, and then down to us as the provider of services. Currently, I'm here because I think a few months ago, we received an additional grant of $15,000, 10 to go to Meals and Wheels, and 5 to go to the transportation program. And so we had, it was suggested that we come before you and make a report. So that's what I'm doing here today. We have been receiving $15,000 from the county in the last probably 10 years or so, but I've never made a report to you. So I think from this point on, we will come yearly, especially close to budget time, which we are requesting that the funds of $30,000, $25,000 for Meals and Wheels, and $5,000 for the transportation be included in the budget for 17-18. Currently, there are 220 clients receiving the home-delivered meals. Meals and Wheels is more than just a meal. As important as these meals these older adults receive, our delivery drivers have developed meaningful relationships and with these folks and are often the only person the client have contact with in a given week. The meal delivery allows drivers to conduct well checks, to evaluate the clients when they are sick, have a fall, or need additional services. The drivers then report this back to our client service manager, who does follow up with their next of kin and reach out to the community for other services that might be available to our seniors. Our Meals and Wheels client receive quarterly assessments to ensure that they're capable of taking care of their daily needs, such as bathing, dressing, and other tasks that keep them independent. The goal of Meals and Wheels is to keep seniors in their home to live comfortably and as independent as possible. Dignity is huge for our seniors, and that's what Meals and Wheels provide, dignity. So I did send you a report, and I don't want to read everything that's in here, but I do want to give you upcoming activities that Common Ground is looking towards and wanting to, in seeing the needs of our seniors in the community, what we see is needed for the future. We are planning to get some funding for a family caregiver drop-off for older adults with dementia so they can stay in a safe environment while their caregivers take well-deserved breaks, go on appointments and doctor's appointments, and their doctor's appointments as well. Clients can be left at our center for up to 4 hours, will be served a healthy meal, and again, the socialization that they will receive. Common Ground is conducting volunteer recruitment for drivers. In February, we received 2 ADA handicap accessible vans that we put into place now, and so we need more drivers. These vans, we have 3 now in Calaveras County, is busy, and we have 2 paid drivers. So we're actively conducting volunteer recruitment for drivers, as well as the Meals and Wheels program. We continue to partner with various entities. Last year, we received the Dignity Health Grant and partnered with the Arc of Amador and Calaveras, Creative Support Alternatives, Horse Speak, to provide, again, education and socialization for seniors and the disabled. This year, the Dignity Grant we will be partnering with the Murphy Senior Center and the Calaveras Senior Center, as well as Area 12 for upcoming activities for seniors and the disabled. In March, we applied for the Caltrans 5310 grant for a mobility management program, and we're hoping that we will be able to identify and bring forth a good, solid concept of how transportation needs for seniors and that those with disabled can benefit. We are currently on Thursdays. Every Thursday we go to Mather, and just last week we had 4 veterans on our bus. We have a 10-passenger bus as well that goes to Mather. And I think the collaboration and the partnership with our VA officer has been wonderful. The outreach that has been very, very positive. And we are also planning those kind of trips to Palo Alto, over to where's that place down the street? French Camp, is that where it's at? And over to Livermore. So we're hoping to do group VA trips so that the cost is not as great to us. The VA is open to any veteran of all ages. The program that we have contracted with the area agency, the transportation funds that's available through them is for seniors 60 and older. All the programs, including Meals on Wheels, is on a donation base. And so as things get very difficult for our seniors to donate, that's where, again, it's valuable and it's important that we maintain the funding that we receive. I just received funding numbers for next fiscal year 17-18, and there's a reduction of already, and just the Meals on Wheels program, there's a reduction in the grant for already $16,000. So from this fiscal year. We've all been aware of the president's budget cuts and all the stuff that's happening in the state level with regards to IHSS being cut, as well as the CDBG grants, community development block grants, and the community service block grants that are targeted in the governor and the president's budget to be hopefully not cut all the way, but it is going to be decreased, and we're really paying close attention to that, and we would like to encourage advocacy on the board level for these programs. The funding that we receive is under the Older Americans Act. We don't get any CDBG or CSBG, but if those services, including IHSS, is cut, then the program for Meals on Wheels is going to be seeing a drastic, increase. It's going to see a really big increase. So as far as advocacy, I would really ask the board that you support whatever advocacy is out there for these programs that are targeted to be cut. And just so quiet around here. Lastly, I just want to read something. It says, according to mealsonwheelsamerica.org, recent study shows that food insecure seniors are at increased risk of poor health and chronic conditions, including diabetes and heart disease. With the senior population projected to double by 2050, it is more critical than ever that we invest in our nation's nutrition assistance programs to strengthen their safety net. And that, in Calaveras County, transportation is one of the big drawback for seniors going out and even going to the stores and buying food. Nutrition assistance helps at-risk seniors and their families stretch their budgets to ease the burden of choosing between buying food and paying for other necessities such as medicine, rent, and utilities. Every day, communities nationwide are leveraging government support, volunteers, and charitable giving to reach older Americans who struggle with these challenges. And in Calaveras County, we have a lot of seniors that do struggle with just these challenges that I have just spoken, especially those in those more rural areas like Rebel Flat and West Point, and we're all over the county. Arnold has shown a drastic increase in need, and as well as Copperopolis. So that's my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you.
I do have a question. How long has Common Ground been doing the Meals on Wheels program in Calaveras County?
Common Ground has been doing the programs for 17 years now. I'm the founder, and I started out in Amador County, and then 3 or 4 years later, there was some stuff going on, and we were approached by the area agency to take over the programs in Calaveras County. Initially, we were doing hot meals throughout the Highway 4 corridor in San Andreas, Angels Camp, and Murphy's. Because of funding and budgetary issues, and then also the different strict guidelines that these meals have, we cut back to frozen meals. We've been working, or we tried with a hospital, and we almost formed a partnership for them to prepare hot home delivered meals for our clients. However, in preparing the budget, it's just not feasible at this time. So we're going to continue to work towards that goal of providing home delivered meals, but for about 17 years now. And it's been a pleasure working with seniors, and I can't say any more about where our heart is.
Supervisor Gurman.
I'd like to really thank you very much for the work that you guys do on Meals on Wheels. I think it's a real asset to our community, and it helps a great many people. You mentioned the county gives you guys $15,000 a year to help support that program. Do you receive monies from other places?
We receive monies from the area agency, a grant from them. Then we also receive, we've been receiving $10,000, I believe, for the last few years from the Calaveras Community Foundation. And then the rest of the funding, it comes from fundraising and other grants that we apply for. But we're continually applying for different grants.
What is the source of the funding for area and aging? Is that federal funds?
Federal funds, but federal and state.
So you'll be asking for additional $10,000 next year, and we don't know what's going to be coming from the feds. So this is a program that's seriously at risk,
Yes,
I would guess.
it
It's
is.
not mandated that we do this. It's the right thing to do, obviously.
Well, no, it's not mandated. No, it isn't. In our budget, like the JPA, the other JPAs and stuff, we are required to bring in 15.8% match as well. So even in getting that match, coming to the county is really important to help us with that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was any further comments by the board? Thank you very much for your report. Public comment.
Bertha Underhill again, representing Commission on Aging. And I just want all of the newer supervisors to think about what Elizabeth just covered with you, and what a source of information and what she's supplying to our older, she's talking about our Meals on Wheels, the senior citizens that we're not able to see. We rely so much, Commission on Aging relies so much on Elizabeth and what she's, as I say, been able to bring to the table. It's just, fascinating, the different programs that she's into. And this woman attends meeting after meeting, making sure that she knows exactly where we're standing on a state level or county, starting with the county, state, and federal level. And it just hurt my heart to hear that Meals on Wheels was going to be one of the programs that was going to be cut. I just can't believe that we could not feed our senior citizens. So whenever she comes to you, please listen and please open those checkbooks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Topol, Common Ground Senior Services. The boss did a great job, but she forgot some really important facts, and I'm going to catch her up here. Number one is that, just to show you, we do request donations for these meals from clients. In Calaveras County, our donation return rate is 23 cents. So that tells you how desperate these people are. They don't have the money. Second thing is I'd like to invite you to our fundraiser, which is May 5th at Jackson Rancheria. If you've not ever been to our senior beauty pageant, you really want to come. My favorite part of it is when they come out in bikinis. And I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
George Fry. I'm a member of the Commission on Aging in the Area 12 Advisory Council, and I'd like to commend John of Blank, Elizabeth. We now have a person that does home repairs, and he's been a real help to the mobile home park here in San Andreas, Oak Shadows, in helping elderly folks get repairs done at a reasonable cost. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Thank you.
Mr. Fry. Any further public comment? Any further comments by the board? Okay, thank you, Elizabeth, for your report. Thank you very much, folks, for what you do. Madam Clerk.
Item 29 is from the Administrative Office to approve a memorandum of sublease agreement between the Calaveras Unified School District and the San Andreas Recreation and Park District.
Good morning, Brian Moss, Administrative Office, once again. What you have before you today is a memorandum of a sublease agreement as cited between the San Andreas Park and Rec District as well as the Calaveras Unified School District. This sublease agreement would supersede an agreement that is to expire on March 31st, and that agreement was entered in as a sublease agreement between the district, I should say the Park District and the school district back in 2014. The sublease agreement before you today is a 5-year sublease agreement, and really what it does is the county owns the property. This is the property at 999 Park Drive up here on top of the hill where the baseball fields are, and the Park District leases that from the county. The sublease is from the Park District, of course, to CUSD for baseball. It's on field A. There's 3 fields up there, and my understanding is the school district uses that one baseball diamond for everything from practice to playing games. I'm not sure about the games, but for sure for the practice, and I know that they put some effort into the maintenance of that facility as well. So really there's no impact to county general funds. Again, this supersedes the joint use agreement that was approved back in 2014. The only thing that's different on this memorandum of sublease agreement is that the Park District will be charging the school district $500 a year rather than $400 a year. And you'll notice in your board packet that's actually covered in the district's, the Park District's minutes of their meeting. And of course, you'll also notice on the agreement that the school district and the Park District have already signed off on it. So this isn't anything that people are not aware of. So with that said, I'm requesting the board to consider approval of this item.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moss. Is there any public comment on this? Any board comment? Supervisor Tofinelli.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm reading the agreement. In item number 6 on the agreement, it says insurance. It says during the term of this agreement, each party shall maintain at its own cost and expense the appropriate insurance for general liability and property damage, covering any and all of its respective activities at the park. Proof of insurance must be provided to the county of Calaveras. Normally, on an agreement or entering into a contract, this particular portion would say naming the county additionally insured on those liability insurance. It does not say that, so I refer to county council on.
You're another government agency. This is standard. language. It's like when we enter into agreement with the state, we don't usually have that more strict language if we're just dealing with another government agency. It's pretty standard.
Okay. Any further comment? Any further comment by the public? I'll bring it back to the board and entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Tofinelli. Second by Supervisor Garamendi. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. Motion carries 5-0 unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moss. Madam Clerk.
Item 30 is from the Administrative Office to approve mid-year adjustments to the Sheriff's budget consisting of a transfer from the General Fund Reserve of $468,683 and from the Regulatory Fee Fund of $13,638. This requires a 4/5 vote of the board.
Mr. Chairman, that'll be my presentation.
Go ahead, CAO Lopez.
Again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you may recall that on February 28th, your board approved the mid-year budget adjustments that we brought to you at that time. We also requested, and you did, defer action on a request from the Sheriff's Office for a number of mid-year adjustments. At that time, it totaled about $861,000. The primary issue, after speaking with the sheriff on several occasions, was lack of funding for overtime in patrol, lack of funding for overtime in dispatch, and lack of funding for overtime at the jail. There were also several miscellaneous items that required our office's attention. Over the last month, County Administrator has met with the sheriff and his staff on several occasions to discuss these issues. We have developed a plan which we believe will provide the sheriff sufficient funding to complete this year. In an effort to complete the review, I just want to point out that our office expedited that process. There was a lot of issues on the table that we had to go through on some occasions 2 and 3 times. And we did not submit those final requests to the auditor's office. However, I met with her, as I mentioned earlier, I met with her last week, and we feel that we have an understanding that the proposal is appropriate and acceptable, but we want to emphasize that it will have a long-term impact on the county. That is, the overtime and some of the other recommendations that we're making right now will be considered as part of the next year, the 17-18 budget. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, it is recommended that your board approve the mid-year budget in the amount of $468,683. Did want to also add that the sheriff is requesting authorization to place 5 academy limited term recruit positions into the police academy in this fiscal year from starting next month or possibly in May of this year. These positions are requested as part of the mid-year budget with no additional cost. The recommended amount will be sufficient for the sheriff to place these individuals in the academy. These positions are funded for the remainder of the fiscal year, and however, we will be making a recommendation that for 17-18 you complete the funding. That is, they will have started the program, they'll continue past the fiscal year, so we will be making the recommendation that you include them as part of the 17-18 budget. As was mentioned by the clerk of the board, this does require a 4/5 vote in order to effectuate it. That completes my presentation.
Thank you, CEO Lopez. Any comments by the board? Any comments by the public? I'll bring it back to the board. Sheriff, I have a question, if you could come up, please. Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
Afternoon. With these 5 new positions, this additional budget, how does that affect our manpower or our law enforcement in the field? I know we have a training period with our new recruits, and we are actually in trainees for those. Where does that put us in our field manpower?
It brings my staffing up to, I'm still going to be short people. I'm still going to be short 4 people as far as patrol staffing goes. The problem is we have the turnover. We have a corporal that I think I told you about that's going to be leaving at the end of this month. So we have that reoccurring revolving door program going on. This will just give us the opportunity to get ahead of the game. If we don't have positions allocated, they won't backfill a position until we have that position actually available. We're just trying to get ahead of the game. But right now, I have the positions available for those other positions. And I'm not real clear if CAO Lopez talked about the limited term position. Those are people that we were taking out of the jail and moving them over to the academy so that they can go to the academy underneath the, through the sheriff's office, through the program that Judy Hawkins and I put together. So 3 of those, or actually the 5 that are going to go this time, 4 of them will be people that have just applied off of the streets, and we're actually looking to send one of our correctional officers to the academy. But at this point in time, I have 9 open positions, so I have the positions for those 5.
Okay. There's been some discussion about these 9 parking lot positions. And I know that that was discussed several times. Are those actually funded positions?
They are unfunded positions. Those are positions that went away during the downturn of the economy, and they were never brought back in to the department. We've maintained those numbers so that we have an accurate reading of what positions we had available at one time. So those positions, they exist in our minds basically, but they don't, and they exist on paper, but they don't exist in our budget. They're unfunded positions.
Okay. There was some confusion about that.
Yeah.
Any further questions of the sheriff?
Yeah, I have a question.
Supervisor Mills?
Based upon what you're saying, then, your expected attrition rate on your new hires, knowing what you had going on over the last 6 months, you expect to lose some of these during their training process?
Historically, we lose people, yes.
20%, or I don't want to hold you to anything.
Well, and it's hard to say. It just depends. The issue is that some of them fail out of the training program because they don't meet the minimum standards for a police officer in our eyes. So we drop them from the training program. Some of them end up after a year and a half or 2 years, they quit. They go to other departments where they make more money.
Should we possibly be thinking about plugging a line item into the budgets, not just necessarily for your budget, but for all budgets to include the cost of turnover, or somehow try to quantify what that dollar amount is and what its effect is on your ability to perform services?
I don't know if you can put that in as a line item. I think it's just something that we know occurs every year, that we have people that leave.
I know that it's been a line item in the past in other budgets, so I just thinking maybe we should be looking at possibly bringing it back so we can account for that number.
I would like to have those 5 academy positions continue on. I would like to, as C.A. Lopez said, I'm going to be able to absorb the cost from now until the end of the fiscal year. And then we're looking at about $18,000, I think is what it was, that I needed to bring to the board for the remainder of their academy. I'd like to continue with those 5 positions, so I'm going to be looking to have another 5 positions so that we can send them in the fall, which would be in the next year's budget, in a 17-18 year budget, so that we have a continual cycle of people going to the academy. If we get to a point to where we don't need them, then we won't need to send them, but I would like to have that as a line item to where those people are always there so that we continually have that, where we're not having to continually come to the board and look for those positions.
Thank you. That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Is to be sure that we've got there's something in there so you're not constantly coming back.
Right,
Discussing it.
and we're going to have to work with the CAO's office to basically put those limited term recruit positions as a complete new number, and that's all they're designed to do. So that's what we're looking to do, yes.
Okay. So next year's budget, then you're going to be looking to add a few more funded positions? Maybe
I
pull
would
from
love
those-
to add a few more funded
Pull from those
positions.
9 unfunded and put them into a funded position.
I would love to. That's not in, that technically isn't going to be in my next year's budget at this point in time. I think we need to focus on, I gave you my 5-year plan. I think we need to focus on catching up with what we have right now, and then we can worry about adding those other positions that, down the road. But they're in that plan, that we do need to add them. That's all I have.
And Supervisor Toffenelli?
Yes, Sheriff, and CAO Manuel. Manuel spoke that you guys got together and discussed ways that at the end of this fiscal year, you won't be coming back to us with another $468,000 hit, and you found a way to fund them throughout. Is that correct on your statement?
My statement was that the $468,000 that we're recommending this morning would be part of the 2017-18 budget. I don't know that that will provide all of his needs. I do know that, just to comment on the earlier comment, that we did ask all departments to give us a status quo budget, so that means that the positions that they have in this year's budget will be the same positions that they'll have in next year's budget. We do have a process by which all departments can make requests for supplemental funding that they feel is necessary, and then the board can make that decision during the budget process. But our recommendation to the board will not generally, outside of extraordinary circumstances, will not include any additional positions in any of the budgets.
Well, my concern is the overtime. Is this going to carry him through so we don't, again, at the end of the fiscal year, we have a deficit that he's asking to fill carrying into the next year?
And again, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Toffenelli, I certainly don't want to be sound elusive about this. However, there's a lot of things that will need to be considered. One of the reasons for the extraordinary amount of overtime is the number of vacancies that they have. They're trying to fill the vacancies right now. They are sending people to the academy that we're hopeful will help them fill those vacancies. We're hopeful that once positions are closer to, or the organization is closer to fully funded with respect to the positions, that we may be able to eliminate some of that overtime. I don't know that. That'll be part of the budget review process with the sheriff.
Well, that would lead me to a question then, is to determine just exactly how many funded unfilled positions are there now, so that we can understand how the overtime number is driving that, and try to get our head around that part of it. Does that make sense?
It does, but let me try and explain some of the overtime. The problem with overtime is, understand right now I have 6 guys on the training program. So we have 2 guys in a vehicle that, because I can't take somebody right off the street and just put them right out of the academy and put them right out the street. They have a 4-month training program. So now, instead of having 1 person in that car and that other person filling a hole, I have 2 people in a car. So if that car basically gets called out and is on overtime, you have double the overtime now because you have 2 men in there. I can't just take the trainee back to the office and say, hey, go home. That's just not how it works. So you're looking at some point, there's going to be more overtime involved in it. And this is what we explained to Mr. Lopez, that if you take our salary savings that we have for the rest of the year and you spread them out, it looks like we would make it to the end of the year. But the problem is when you add other unknown factors in there, and that's the problem. This is a moving bicycle here with a lot of moving parts. You don't know what's going to happen. And the fact that you've got 6 guys on the training program, that's going to take them through the end of the fiscal year, you're looking at some potential of more overtime. So we came to a compromise where we thought that the amount of overtime that he was giving us would be sufficient for the remainder of this fiscal year. I'm hoping that it doesn't carry into the next year, but I can't guarantee you that. I don't know what's going to happen in the world.
How many additional unfunded or funded unfilled positions do you have that you could still hire to?
9.
So that's the limit, is the 5 that you're talking about now?
You lost me.
The ones that are going to the academy?
The ones that are going to be going to the academy will be able to backfill 5 of those 9 positions.
Okay, that's what...
I will still have 4 more positions available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Further comments for the sheriff? Sheriff, I have a comment. I do understand the uncertainty of this, and for the education of the public, there is no formula. If we have a major incident, everybody rolls, everybody goes. If you have a very serious crime, you're going to have crime scene security, and that's got to be by a deputy or two. I have to go back to an incident 3 years ago when we had an unfortunate murder of a young child in this county, and we were on that scene for many, many days, 24 hours. So there's no formula, folks. Our best guess is all we can do. Thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah, and to reiterate on that particular case, everybody that was in the department was working. If they weren't working that case, they were working patrol to cover, so it was very, very trying. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Further comments by the public?
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Al Segala, Taxpayer Association. We concur with the Sheriff's request. And there is some questions that we brought up previously which weren't answered. One, what is the extent of knowledge of why people are leaving our county? In this case, the Sheriff's Department, also the jail. It's been proposed that they're leaving for more money someplace else. Where are they going to get the more money? Are they going to another rural county? Are the salaries at the other rural counties so much greater than ours are? Are they going to high crime areas like Stockton or other places where their lives will be more in danger? Why are they really leaving? What is the real picture? It's hard to find that picture without having some sort of confidential survey. Something where people, if they made the decision to leave and they made a commitment to go someplace else, would be likely to share their thoughts about the institution they're leaving. In other words, get some unbiased, accurate information. Now, this information is sensitive, and it should go to the, in the case of county employees, to the CAO. In the case of the Sheriff's Department, since the sheriff is a constitutional officer in charge of his department, responsible to the public, not to the Board of Supervisors, except for some budget things. So the Board of Supervisors can't really dig into the operations of the Sheriff's Department because the board is not responsible for that. The sheriff is. So it makes sense that the Sheriff's Department set up some means of communication with officers that are leaving to get a clear picture of what's really happening. Now, if it is true that it's just an issue of uncompetitive salaries, which are causing the county to take a loss because of excess overtime resulting from these people leaving, then it seems to make sense. Well, maybe you need to do a salary study. You need to do a study to find out what the real issue is and then adjust the salaries accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sgell.
I was reading in the Sacramento Bee about a week ago where the incoming salary in Sacramento County is $88,000, and that the starting salary here is $66,000, if I'm correct. And that's a $22,000 difference, and that appears to be some of the motivation to move on. You get your training here, and you get your experience here, and then you go somewhere else. Many of the deputies that are still here and haven't moved on, it's because they like being here and or they have family here. But that's one of the things that obviously everybody here in county government has been continually looking at in terms of what we can do to help the sheriff and the sheriff's department maintain the deputies that we do have here. So I think that's part of the answer, Al, to your question. I don't think it's that deputies are not happy here. I believe that by and large that they are happy here. So I think that's the focus that we all have been looking at, is how we can improve deputies' salaries so that there isn't that big gap of $22,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. Any further public comment? I'll bring it back to the board. Any further board comment? I'm sorry, Bonnie.
It's okay, I'm slow. You know, I had a talk with Steve Kearney a couple years ago about maintaining or retaining officers, and my thought was that the officers are making a decision to accept more money and put their lives in more danger. To me, and he says, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm saying, I see if an officer was in trouble in Stockton, I can't see people really coming to his rescue. But in Calaveras County, if an officer was ever in trouble, I would imagine that the civilians would come to aid that officer. There's a degree of safety in Calaveras County that, you know, you just got to go over the border to get into San Joaquin to say how dangerous it is on all levels. And I think if we could promote the safety of our officers and the safe communities and the support of our citizenry, I think that's something that could be used to attract officers or retain officers or to remind officers that that's something that Calaveras County and rural counties can offer that the cities really can't. Anyway, that's just a thought I had about officers leaving or not.
Thank you. Further comments by the board? I have a couple of quick ones. Mr. Segala, all the reasons you said how come officers are leaving, every single one of them is true. There's no precedence. I'm personally familiar with when an officer leaves the department, and I assume the sheriff does this, there is an attempt, or not even an attempt, but an offer for what's called an exit interview to find out why, to answer those questions. That's totally voluntarily. Law enforcement experience tells me that a lot of guys that leave, or a lot of girls that leave, don't really want to talk about it to an extent. Bonnie, your issues about officer safety, we have a CHP officer sitting in the back of the room. Sir, how's your two officers that were shot Friday in Reading on Highway 5 and in Anderson? The police officer there, they doing okay?
Stable and they've been released, yes, sir.
Those are rural areas, folks. I grew up and went to high school in Redding, California. There's no geographical borderline or any rules or regulation when an officer's safety is in jeopardy. It happens every day, every hour of the day, anywhere you want to be. I mean, there's no indicators. I'm saying that to present that we really wish we had that. If we had a way to predict when we're going to be in harm's way, I take that back, when they're going to be in harm's way. We have had deputies leave this department for a variety of reasons. One, I just realized, went to a high activity department in the Bay Area and just got a canine. He's a canine officer. Opportunity presented itself that's what he needed in his career, and that's why he left. But I do say, we have got one of the finest sheriff's department that I've seen, and I was happy to be part of that at one time. Having said my piece, and just for an educational purposes, is there any further public comment? I'll bring it back to the board. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Garamendi.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Tofinelli. Any more public comment? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. Motion carries 5-0, unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, it's past the 12 noon hour. We're going to be recessing for an hour and a half. For lunch, we'll be back here at 1:45. That'll give you time? Thank you, folks.